This is my dear friend Ross McKnight. He grows ducks, Muscovy duck. Don't mispronounce it or Candace's dad will come after you. Muscovy ducks, South Louisiana ducks. Ross did a Free Farm Friday episode with me. He's got about 1,000 ducks in Bush, Louisiana, about 15 miles from here. He gave me this guy. This dude is completely deboned except for the little bones on the wings. So, I'm posting this video this evening here on my Substack to ask the question of if you had this beautiful, boneless, how many pounds? 6.5 pounds of world-class duck, and you were gonna cook it for Sunday dinner tomorrow, what would you do with it? Okay, so now we're gonna get to cook Daffy. So I'm just gonna give you a little intro here. Here's the strategy that I decided upon. Thanks for all of your input. It's gonna go in like 3 phases. The first phase is I brined it. I'll show you that in a second. Duck is ready for brine. Brine, you can see it's still steaming. Is it ready? You know, it doesn't look like it in the packaging, but duck is actually, see how thin it is? So I could see how we could actually contemplate rolling something, some kind of a breading, and then rolling this up and tying it up with twine. But I'm gonna go ahead and throw it in brine, and I'm gonna add a little, half a cup of lemon juice, and yes, that is a real lemon. So we'll do the brining, come back in about 3 hours, and I'll show you the results. Second phase is, I've got my Weber smoker going outside. I'm aiming for a cold smoke, which means less than 200 degrees. It's hot outside today, it's 92. Don't know if I can even get 100, anything below 2.25, but I'm gonna try. And I'm gonna be using pecan, not pecan. Pecan's a toilet that you Yankees use. Pecan is something that we use here in the South. It's the best smoking wood there in. And it's the sweetest too. Combination of pecan and oak. And we're going to go for the lowest temp again. We just want smoke, we don't want it to cook. But because I don't have an aluminum pan, I made one. So because when you're cooking duck, you're gonna lose that's where you get confit. You get fat, the fee is fat. You get lots of fat, like we all have like hanging around here. So we're gonna go for about 1 hour on a cold smoke with pecan and with apple. And then when we're done with that, we're gonna go into the oven yonder there for about another hour, maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half, don't know because I haven't cooked one of these guys before. And we're going flesh side up. So I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna score the top of the duck. I'm not gonna cut into it, I'm just gonna score it. So we're gonna go 1 hour cold smoke. We're coming back in here. We're going into a pan, but on top of the pan, we're putting a grill grate because we don't want the duck sitting in its own fat. We want it to make fat. And then in the fat, we will reserve some of that to make a gravy. I'll show you that. We'll make a roux to make with the gravy. And then we're gonna introduce our sweet vegetables. We're gonna have onions, we're gonna have carrots, probably throw some bell peppers in there. If we got any potatoes laying around, just for a little bulk. And carrots, small, probably baby carrots. And that's all gonna go in the pan, in the confit. I'll probably add a little water to it as we go. And that will be to finish the duck off. When she's about ready to come out of the oven, I will remove the most of the liquid from the pan because I don't want it boiling for the final phase. I'm going to turn the oven to broil, and I'm going to try to get us a nice golden brown, crispy skin on the top. And then we're going to let it stand for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to cut and serve with a little gravy that we're going to make with red wine. You know, one of my cooking heroes around here likes to say, while we wait, we hydrate. He hydrates with beer. Today I'm hydrating with wine and a little bourbon. So it's always important, guys, make a strategy. My old boss, Bill Dunham, used to say, make a plan, work the plan. We're gonna work the plan here. So I'm gonna get it all ready. Oh, and I made a beautiful little rub, and I'll show you in a second here. I made it out of kosher salt, coarse black pepper that I actually ground myself, lemon zest, didn't buy it, I just bought a couple lemons, got a nice little zester, I zested them up, rosemary from my garden, my herb garden, And normally I would have an abundance of thyme, but it's been really hot this summer, and our thyme's just not doing that well. So I have some backup here, and I've got the old standby Tony's thyme, so I'm using thyme. And that's what's going into our rub that we're gonna rub both the top, the skin side, and the flesh side of the duck with. So, let's get started. Okay guys, voila, here is Daffy Duck. And she is a beaut, Clark, she's a beaut. And Ross has just done us a nice favor, he's deboned her. And I think I saw earlier, I believe I saw, if you look real close, zoom in right here, Justin, I believe that this is the liver. So this is gonna be your breasts, these are gonna be your thighs, and I believe that this is the liver that's tucked under there, right there. Don't quote me on that, but I think that that's liver. You know, you want the liver because you want the confit, the foie gras part. So what I'm doing now is I am just patting this guy down, or her. I don't know. I don't know if it was a male or a female duck. And I'm not, because I'm not an ornithologist, I can't tell you. Can you define what a female duck is, sir? No, I'm not an ornithologist, or study of birds, so I'm not qualified. We're just gonna call him Daffy. And all I'm doing here is I'm just patting him down because I don't want to put my rub onto water, onto something that's wet. Let's grab a little sip of wine. Now, the ingredients for the rub, I'll show you here. See the lemon? That's rosemary, fresh chopped. That's some thyme in there. That's black pepper that I ground, and then there's your kosher salt. And I use 2 tablespoons of kosher salt, 1 tablespoon of coarse black pepper that I ground fresh out of this guy right here. And I chopped 1 tablespoon of fresh rosemary from my garden, and I used 1 tablespoon of thyme from the can, y'all. Gotta do what you gotta do. And now you can see I'm just kind of incorporating all this. And the reason I added the lemon zest is citrus just goes well with poultry, no matter what kind of poultry it is. So I incorporated a little lemon here to make a little pucker, right? You need that tart, kind of like a sweet tart. All right, you see that's pretty well incorporated now. Look, and you can see my fresh sprigs of rosemary. So now I'm going to take some olive oil, just a little bit, and this is just purely to make this stuff stick. It doesn't have any flavor component to it. And then I'm going to take my mustard. And again, I'm just making a little base here. Just for the rub to stick, that's all. I'm gonna rub this in. Oh, look at all that. It ain't a hot dog, but I tell you what, everything's better with a little mustard on it. I like that mustard. I like them French fry taters and mustard too. And again, I am not trying to add any flavor component here, although mustard doesn't hurt. I am simply just giving Daffy here a base for our rub to stick to, that's all. All right, she's good to go, and I'm just gonna sprinkle this on. Sprinkle in an 8, sprinkle in a 5. You know, there was somebody asking on Substack, why did I use kosher salt, King Dude? Well, kosher salt the flakes are bigger. You could probably see them if you zoom in a little bit there, Justin. You could probably see the flakes of kosher salt. It doesn't dissolve as easy, and it goes further. It's not as dense and as concentrated, so you can put a little bit more by volume, not by weight now, but by volume. And you see, I'm being pretty generous with this rub mix here, especially with that lemon, because I want some of that citrus to actually cook in. Now, we want those herbs. And of course, salt and pepper, that's just the salt and pepper, the salt of life. It's the spice of life, baby. All right, there's some pockets here. You can see where I'm just getting a little bit of a rub. And so that's some of the exposed, that's some thigh meat there. here where the breast is split. Get a little down in there. Okay. She's a beaut, Clark. She's a beaut. Okay. Now I'm just gonna take my girl here. Noted that I have her on paper towels. Okay. That's again, I just don't want water in my final product here. Okay. Let me get this out the way. You can see some of the peppercorns from the brine. There's one right there. The brine had kosher salt, brown sugar, lemons, and peppercorns, obviously. Now again, we're just gonna add, see all the peppercorns? See those there? Just wanna take those off. They're not gonna hurt anything. If you bite into one, you'll know it. I actually threw some rosemary and the few thyme sprigs that I had. Okay. Now the oil does have an effect on the skin, guys. And the effect that it has on the skin is it's just gonna cook it. It's gonna give the skin its own kind of little oily fat layer to cook. So it will crisp up a little bit, even on a cold smoke. And now I'm just taking the oil and the mustard and I'm just gonna rub it in. Like we did on the underside. Okay, she is all ready for our rub. I got a little water right there. Just gonna pat that up. Okay. All right, now let's come back. Justin Wilson, one of my chef mentors. He was actually born in Cleveland, but he made a hell of a coon-ass. Coon-ass are what we call people that are Cajuns that don't live in Lafayette and Acadiana. That makes you a coon-ass. I be a coon-ass, yeah. Justin Wilson used to, when he would cook with anything, he added wine to everything. You watch Justin Wilson cooking outside, cooking with indoor help, one of his shows, he always had wine. And he said, "Ooh, chef, I'm gonna put a little, I gonna done did add a little of that white wine into my gumbo. Ooh, hoo-wee. A little of that white wine for a gumbo, a little of that white wine for me." And he drink the whole time. He sip his wine the whole time he's cooking. Never beer, always wine. All right, you can see we got a nice coat on here. She looks good already, doesn't she? I proclaimed her that she has a gender. If you don't like it, report me to Merrick Garland. I'll invite him over for dinner. I'd have to have the house exercise, and I had to invite Father Damien over as well. Okay, she is ready to go. See that, guys? Gals, she is patted down. She is rubbed completely, and I'll show you just a second here. Oh, it almost missed a piece there. Get away from me there. Okay, I used almost all my rub. I got just a little bit left, just in case I have an emergency here. So, she's just about ready to go. I'm gonna let it sit here. I'm gonna go outside and check my fire, and we'll come back, and then I'm gonna make some scores. Not gonna cut the skin, I'm just gonna score it. I'm gonna make some scores, and then we're going onto the grill. We're gonna catch the fat in this, and dude, we are making a duck, yo. We'll be back in just a minute here. I'll show you the final step before we throw her on the grill. Okay, full confession, I've never done this before. So, there's an old Cajun lady. Where'd she come from, baby? Your mom gave you the recipe? Hackberry, a whole book on cooking ducks. And the old grandma said, well, it's important that you score the skin, but don't cut through it. Because if you cut all the way through, then she gonna cook all the way through and you're gonna drain all the fat and all the juice and everything else. So I've never done this before. I've got a decently sharp knife. We're in the process of moving, and I packed away my knife sharpener, so I gotta do the best I can. So what I'm going for is an angle. So I'm just scoring. It's probably hard to see, but that is a score. I'm not cutting all the way through. That skin is tough. I can feel it. She said that duck skin is really tough, and if you don't score it, you can't eat it. So it's just, we're learning all this together, guys. And this is our wing that he left on.
Big part.
Okay. So I'm gonna continue on this, and I'm gonna keep the same angle. And I can feel it. It is scoring it. It's just not. Again, I'm not trying to cut all the way through. We'll find out if I did it enough when we get to eating. So you see, I'm just making slices. This, of course, this is our breast. These are our thighs and leg back here, and our wings are up here. And I'm gonna score just a little bit across the legs back here. If you watch caper movies, and you watch them break into a place, and they always have a gizmo kind of like this, and they cut, they cut the glass. What they never tell you is, because I worked as a glazer way back in the 80s for 3 months. You score with a knife cutting tool on the outside of the glass. You have to be on the other side to actually take the glass out. You can't use a suction cup, pull it on the side that you scored on. Probably the same thing with our duck. All right, she's all scored, ready to go. We're gonna head outside. I'll see you out at the grill. I told you, I didn't know if I could get this thing down below 250 because of the heat. It's 92 degrees right now, and I failed miserably. So it's telling me 250. That's at the top of the dome here, which means it's probably closer to 270 here. I've actually vented down, but I can't vent all the way down because I need the vents to make my smoke. So I've left one of them quarter open. All the rest are closed. Those are closed. It'll come down once I take the lid off. So, go ahead and remove the lid. This, by the way, this Weber has won championships. You don't need to buy a $10,000 rig to cook great barbecue. All right. Again, pecan is what you pee in on a construction site job. This is pecan. I'm just going to open our little flue up here. This is nice and chunky, which means it'll burn for a while. So I'm going to take about that much. Note, I didn't soak these in water. That's BS that you got to soak in the water. That's some damn Yankee came up with that. And I've got some apple. This is chips. I like apple because it's mild, but it makes a really, really sweet smoke. Let's take all that. Let's put that on there. Now, that joker's hot down there, so. Look, it's smoking already, see it? Okay, our grill is ready to go. Let me grab my brush over here. Just give this a scratch. As I said in the intro, we're cooking flesh side up the whole time. She is ready for the grill. Let's put her on. Hope I don't drop her. Oh, y'all, come get a shot of that. Look at that. See, we got our smoke coming up. I mean, that is going to be some barbecue goodness there, guys. All right. We're going to close her up, hit the timer for 1 hour. I've got my pan beneath to catch most of the fat. I hope I catch most of the fat on a little homemade aluminum pan. And again, it says 210 now, which is that's about right. Right, you can see where it says smoke. I actually want anything below 200 is a cold smoke. This is probably not going to be a cold smoke, but we'll come back in an hour and I'll show you what she looks like, and then we'll head inside back to the kitchen. Meanwhile, we're going to make a little butter roux for our gravy that we're going to make for the duck, and we'll join back up. We'll see you back in the kitchen. Our duck experiment is freaking beautiful. All right, this is what she looks like at 1 hour cold smoke. Look at that. So if you look, the discerning eye is going to see that. See that smoke? See that right there? That's what we call a smoke ring. So our smoking is a success. I'm looking down now. If you can get a shot, you can see. We know that we got a cold smoke because our pan has almost no fat in it. So you see the pan below, there's a little bit in there. So, and you can see there's a little bit of fat sticking right there. See that? That's a pool of fat. I'm gonna take it now, I'm gonna put it on the pan, we're gonna bring it inside, and we're gonna throw her in the oven now. So this is I would say a complete and total success. So if you do this at home, you need a Weber or some kind, or an egg or some kind of grill that you can close the top on to contain the smoke and the temp. So we wound up at 195, that was our final temp. And that's just perfect. I'm very happy with this. It's gonna have a nice pecan smoke taste to it. It's not cooked at all. I mean, just a little bit around the edge. Got a nice smoke taste to it. We're gonna want it in the oven now. And you can actually see why you score, because if you look at the skin, it hasn't begun to pull. So I think you score so that the skin can tighten up, but it's not gonna pull all the way up. So this is just very good. So I got my my paddle here. This is a weapon too. Feral zombies come over that fence, they're trying to get your girl. Whack, right over the head. They would use this on The Walking Dead, okay? Rick Grimes would split a zombie's head open with this Joker. But I'm just trying to get my girl off here. Look, you can see she's not cooked. She's still nice and pliable. And we're going right onto our pan. Beautiful. And that's it. She's going in the oven now. We'll see you inside. Just a second. Going right inside and into the oven. I can't wait. Okay, so we're back in the kitchen now, and you can see that this is the dilemma. Daffy is a little bigger than I had anticipated. So this is the biggest baking pan that I have in the house, and you can see that that's not quite a fit. So what I'm gonna do is transfer it over here, and I'm gonna see if I can squinch it up just a little bit so that it doesn't hang off the side. But you'll note this pan is actually made for something like this because it's fluted a little bit. It comes up here, fat can drain through. This is actually higher than it is in the middle, so it kind of slopes down on either side. And also you can see we've got our vegetables ready here. My squash, my zucchini, my onions, my bell pepper, and my celery. I'm gonna cut that up, that garlic. So our goal now, you can also see our score lines. I just rescored it. The skin is very thick. A duck skin, it ain't like a chicken skin. This skin is El Thicko. So I guess that means a duck can take a lot of ribbon. Get it? Because it's got a thick skin. So, and we know we got a cold smoke because I can pick it up on my hands and it's not burning me at all. I have no discomfort. So it actually looks like it kind of fits on the pan, guys. And since it's duck, I didn't have to spray it with Pam or anything because it's got built-in fat and stuff. She is still not cooked at all. All she's got is a smoke ring, meaning that's exactly what we wanted. So basically all the cooking now is going in the oven. So I'm gonna cook at 325. I'm gonna start off at 60 minutes and I'm gonna temper. I'm gonna temper on this bone right here, this leg bone. And probably back here where this wing is, and I'll tip it on the breast. You know, maybe a half an inch thick, just to see. I think, you know, we're probably shooting at 155 to 160 finish, and then let her stand for 10 minutes and finish off at exactly 165 or between 160 and 165. Because again, you're killing salmonella at 165. This bird doesn't have any salmonella because it was raised properly. This is exciting. It looks good. It smells delicious. You can still smell the pecan and the apple smoke. So the first phase is an absolute success. So we're gonna pop her in the oven. We're gonna go 60 minutes, and I'll see you in 60 minutes for, we'll see what happens here. You get a shot of this? So in she goes into the oven. There we go. 325, set our timer, 60 minutes. See y'all in 60 minutes. What? All right, 60 minutes is done, 325, and I just temped it. So I'm gonna cheat and tell you that it is absolutely perfecto, but I'm gonna show you. Here's our digital thermometer. And I have to hold 6 to the 2. If y'all can see that, 163 on the big part of the breast. See that? Oh, it's upside down for you. Just watch the video upside down. This one is a little smaller, and it is 159, 161, 162, 163. That means she is absolutely done. So, I'm going to take the Cajun lady's advice. I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to let this stand for 10 minutes because as I push on the skin, even though it's done, it's not crispy. Oh my goodness, that's so good. So I'm gonna let it stand for about 10 minutes and then we're gonna come back. We're gonna set our oven to broil and we could do it one of two ways. We could set the oven like 525, which I believe is the highest temp, on bake. We could do convection. You know what? I think I'll do convection roast. We'll do convection roast at like 500 in about 10 minutes, and we'll try and crisp that skin up because that'll cook it evenly. Because she's done, and I don't want her to cook anymore. So I'm going to take her out of the heat. I'm going to set her up here on my pad here, so that she can just rest. And we'll come back and we're going to finish it off by crisping that skin up. A little silicone there. I'm excited about this, and it smells absolutely delightful. You can smell the smoke, and that pan is filled with fat. Don't believe me? Watch this. Look at that. That is confit. That is a lot of fat from a little bird. So, see y'all back in 10-15 minutes. We'll broil the top, we'll skin it up. And we're gonna let it stand again, and we're gonna cook our veggies and some of the confit. And wow, this duck is just looking, and look, you can see almost like a pig, or if you do, look, it's one to pull apart. See how the fat, see how the skin pulled back away from the bone there? See that? And the same thing here. That's a good indication, see that? There's a little bit of resistance there, and that's good. We want a little bit, because we don't want it completely, we don't want it torched. This is really coming out really well, better than I expected from my first duck. And you and I did this together. So I'll see y'all back in 10 minutes for the broil part. I'm getting closer to eating, y'all. Boy, does that look good. That's 3 minutes at 500 degrees, 5 to the 0. Oh, 5 to the 0. At convection roast. So rather than broiling, you can see the skin. It's taut now. I wouldn't call it crispy, but I don't want to risk any more heat because it is like right at 165 now. I just temped it. So it's perfectly cooked. And I've never had duck with skin on. I've always had it at restaurants where they take the skin off and you get the breast and the confit. The pan is filled. I mean, you want to see what kind of fat a duck makes? Look at that. That is all fat. So we're gonna reserve all of that. We're gonna conserve it, we're gonna bag it, we're gonna put it in a mason jar, and we're gonna save it. This is the completed product. It looks absolutely beautiful. We're gonna let it stand. I set the timer for 15 minutes. And after 15 minutes, we'll take the Santoku knife, Santoku shape, and we'll see if we can cut a little off the breast and get a sample. And see what she tastes like. But I gotta tell you, this came out better than I thought it was going to, with no experience doing duck whatsoever. The only thing I might do different is before even I smoke it, I might try and sear that skin on a broil cycle, maybe for 5 minutes in the oven, and then go to the smoke. Don't know. This may be perfectly fine. And it may be that we have to cut through the skin and we just don't eat it. We don't use it. I don't know. We'll find out in about 15 minutes or so. We got our rice cooking here. This looks absolutely delicious, doesn't it? I mean, look at that. Look at the little pool of fat. I mean, it just oozes fat everywhere. So, and we know, it's well done. You see that? It's perfectly done. All your joints are pliable. That's what you would look for in a chicken. So, I say this is a home run. Wait till we taste it. See y'all in 15 minutes. 15-minute stand. Still feels tender. I'm gonna try to slice a little piece off here. Now let's see what we get. Ooh, that cuts like butter. Look at that. see, that's your duck breast right there. Look at that. Oh my. Slice a little piece off here. Skin cuts pretty easily. Alright. That looks like a perfectly cooked piece of duck. Let's make a little sample slice here. It cuts really easy. The skin is not rubbery. Alright. This is all Lord needs, I guess, we're about to receive from the body of Christ our Lord. Amen. Bon appetit. That was delicious. So, my first impression, and that's a breast, is that's like a steak that's done mid-rare to medium, and it is kind of red meat with a nice crunchy skin. And the skin is not really crunchy, but it is delicious and tender. I have to do that again. Let me get back to you. Okay. So, the texture of duck is so completely different from chicken. There's fat in every little piece of fiber of meat, and you can taste it. I would say that, because we're nibbling off the breast here, that you want to serve this warm, because if it starts to cool down, that fat's going to congeal. So it'd be my first observation that you're going to want to serve this nice and warm, and you're probably going to want to cut it in strips. Let's take a little piece off the leg, right, off the thigh right here. And that's cut nice too. Look at that. I think that's thigh meat. That's right off the top of the thigh. Let me cut a little piece off of this. And notice that the thigh is not nearly as red as the breast, which is different than chicken, because on chicken, you're going to get white meat from the breast and red meat from the thigh. And the skin is delicious. I could taste the brine, or a nice little salt back, a little lemon. Guy Fieri would be going, I don't know how to get back to you. Hold on just a second. Yeah, that is delicious. My only observation is I might do next time I do this, I might do 150 to 155 instead of 160 on the duck before I try and crisp the skin up, because it did cook a little bit more in the convection roast. I only did it for 3 minutes. It's not overdone, it's still juicy. That is absolutely delicious. We're gonna make what's called and you can see the remainder of the fat. See that, y'all? Look at that. We're gonna make with this some roux, put a little flour, and then we're gonna add red wine. And we'll serve this later. I'm gonna put this in the oven on warm, and that's called a marchand de vin. And that's a classic French duck sauce, marchand de vin. It means wine of the market, marchand de vin. So we're gonna make a marchand de vin for this. We're gonna leave this set here. I'd say our duck cooking experiment was a smashing success. I can't wait to pick around the bone here of the thigh and the leg here, just to taste that meat right at the bone. So that's how you cook a whole duck if you're blessed to get one that's deboned. We'll see you next time for another episode of Cooking with the King. Dude, God bless you, Mary keep you, and bon appetit. Daffy tastes good. No, I think I'm gonna dunk Daffy in a little confit here because that's how you're supposed to get it. Look at that. Oh my. They say the bon temps roulette. Thank you, Ross McKnight. And backwater foie. This is the bomb. See y'all next time.